The phone rang at exactly 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, interrupting Nathan Cross mid-sentence during his board meeting. He almost ignored it. Almost. But something about the persistence of the ringtone made him glance at his phone. Unknown number. He typically never answered unknown calls, but today felt different. Mister, please help me," a small voice sobbed through the speaker. "My sister won't wake up and there's blood everywhere and I don't know what to do, and Mama said never talk to strangers, but I can't find Aunt Simone's number and—" The words tumbled out so fast that Nathan had to strain to understand. A child. A little girl. Crying. Scared. "Slow down, sweetheart," Nathan said, stepping out of the boardroom. His executives watched in surprise as their CEO abandoned the multi-million-dollar merger discussion. "Tell me your name." "Zoe. Zoe Baptiste. I'm 7 3/4 and my sister Amara is 16 and she won't wake up and there's so much blood on her head and people are just walking by and nobody stops and I tried to call 911 but my hands are shaking too much and I accidentally called you instead and—" Nathan's heart clenched. "Where are you right now, Zoe?" "On Maple Street. By the big blue building with the bakery downstairs. Amara was walking me home from school and this car came real fast and she pushed me out of the way but the car hit her and drove away and now she's just lying here and—" Nathan was already moving, grabbing his keys from his assistant's desk. "Zoe, listen to me very carefully. Are you hurt at all?" "No, sir. Amara saved me. She always saves me. But now I need to save her and I don't know how." The pure trust in the little girl's voice nearly broke Nathan. Here was a child, alone and terrified, who had somehow reached out to a complete stranger and was depending on him completely. "I'm coming to help you right now, Zoe. Can you see the name of the bakery?" "Sweet Dreams Bakery. There's a pink sign." Nathan knew exactly where that was. 15 minutes away, but he could make it in 10. "Zoe, I need you to stay right with your sister, okay? Don't leave her side. I'm going to call for an ambulance too, and I'll be there very soon. You're really coming? You promise?" Adults sometimes promise things and then— "I promise, sweetheart. I'm Nathan and I'm going to help both of you." As Nathan speed dialed 911 while racing through traffic, he couldn't stop thinking about the trust in Zoe's voice. She had called a random number in her moment of desperate need, and somehow reached him. Of all the people in the city, somehow she had reached Nathan Cross, who had more resources than most to actually help. When he arrived at Maple Street, the scene was exactly as devastating as Zoe had described. A teenage girl with beautiful dark skin lay unconscious on the sidewalk, a small pool of blood near her head. Beside her knelt the tiniest 7-year-old Nathan had ever seen, her school uniform dirty, her face streaked with tears, but her small hand protectively holding her sister's hand. The ambulance arrived just as Nathan did. Zoe looked up at him with wide, hopeful eyes. "Mr. Nathan, you came. You really came." "Of course I came," Nathan said, kneeling down beside her. "I made you a promise. Have you ever wondered what would happen if a child's innocent call for help could change not just one life, but an entire family's destiny? Would you have answered that call? Would you have dropped everything to help a stranger's child? Please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below." The paramedics immediately began working on Amara. Nathan provided his insurance information without hesitation when they mentioned the need for immediate transport to the best trauma center. "Sir, we need a guardian's consent," one paramedic said. "I'll take full responsibility," Nathan replied firmly. "Get her the best care possible." Zoe tugged on Nathan's suit jacket. "Mr. Nathan, is Amara going to die like Mama and Daddy did?" Nathan's heart broke a little more. "No, sweetheart. We're going to make sure she gets better. I promise you that too." As they loaded Amara into the ambulance, Nathan made a decision that would change his life forever. "I'm riding with them," he told his driver. "Cancel everything for today." Zoe climbed into the ambulance beside him, still holding her sister's hand. "Thank you for answering my call, Mr. Nathan. I knew someone good would help us." Nathan squeezed the little girl's free hand gently. "Sometimes the right call finds exactly the right person at exactly the right time, Zoe." Looking at this brave little girl who had somehow found his number in her moment of greatest need, Nathan realized his perfectly planned Tuesday had just become the most important day of his life. He had built an empire, made billions, commanded respect in boardrooms around the world. But none of that mattered as much as keeping his promise to a 7-year-old girl who had trusted a stranger completely. The ambulance raced through the city streets, sirens blazing, carrying not just an injured teenager and her frightened little sister, but the beginning of something Nathan Cross had never expected to find. A family. A purpose beyond profit margins and stock prices. A reason to use his wealth for something that truly mattered. As Zoe held her sister's hand and Nathan held Zoe's, he made another silent promise. Whatever this family needed, whatever it took to make them whole again, he would provide. No questions asked. No hesitation. Sometimes destiny calls at exactly 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, and when it does, the only choice is to answer. The trauma bay at City General Hospital buzzed with controlled chaos as Amara was wheeled through the doors. Nathan stayed close to Zoe, who refused to let go of his hand. The little girl's grip was surprisingly strong for someone so small. Dr. Elizabeth Torres, the head of emergency medicine, took one look at Amara's condition and immediately called for a neurosurgeon. "We need Dr. Hassan down here now," she called out. "Possible traumatic brain injury, unconscious patient, vital signs unstable." Nathan watched the medical team work with practiced efficiency. He had seen boardroom negotiations worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but nothing had ever felt as urgent as watching these doctors fight to save a teenage girl's life. "Mr. Nathan," Zoe whispered, "they're using lots of big words. Is that good or bad?" "It's good, sweetheart. It means they know exactly what they're doing to help Amara." A young nurse approached them. "Are you family members?" Nathan started, then realized he didn't quite know how to explain the situation. "He's our friend," Zoe said confidently. "He came when I called for help. And we don't have anybody else right now except Aunt Simone, but she's working at the hospital across town and doesn't know what happened yet." The nurse looked confused, but Nathan stepped forward. "I'm Nathan Cross. I'll be handling all medical expenses for Amara Baptiste. Whatever she needs, authorize it immediately. Sir, I still need to contact a legal guardian before we can proceed with any major procedures." "Then contact Dr. Simone Baptiste at Mercy Hospital," Nathan said firmly. "But don't let bureaucracy delay this child's treatment. I'll take full legal and financial responsibility." Dr. Torres approached them, her expression serious but kind. "I need to speak with a guardian about Amara's condition. She has a significant head injury and we need to get her into surgery within the next hour." Nathan knelt down to Zoe's level. "Do you know how to reach your Aunt Simone?" Zoe nodded and recited a phone number she had clearly memorized. Nathan immediately dialed it on his phone. "Dr. Baptiste speaking," a warm but tired voice answered. "Dr. Baptiste, this is Nathan Cross. I'm calling about your nieces, Zoe and Amara." There was a sharp intake of breath. "What happened? Are they okay?" "Oh God, please tell me." "Zoe is fine. She's right here with me. But Amara was hit by a car and she's at City General Hospital. She needs surgery and the doctors need your consent." "I'll be right there." 10 minutes. Don't let them do anything until I arrive." "Dr. Baptiste, with respect, Amara doesn't have 10 minutes to spare. The doctors say she needs surgery immediately. I'm going to give my consent as the financial guarantor, and you can provide the family consent when you arrive." There was a pause. "Who are you? Why are you?" "Zoe called me by accident when she couldn't reach you. I found them on Maple Street and brought them here. Your nieces needed help and I'm providing it." "I don't understand." "You don't need to understand right now. Just know that Amara is getting the best possible care and Zoe is safe. Drive carefully, Dr. Baptiste. Your girls need you." Nathan handed the phone to Zoe. "Talk to your aunt while the doctors help your sister." As Zoe spoke tearfully to her aunt, Nathan turned to Dr. Torres. "What does she need?" "Emergency craniotomy to relieve pressure on her brain from internal bleeding. Dr. Hassan is one of the best neurosurgeons on the East Coast. The surgery will take approximately 4 hours, and then we'll need to monitor her closely for at least 48 hours. Cost: potentially $200,000, maybe more if there are complications." Nathan didn't hesitate. "Done. When can you start?" Dr. Torres looked surprised. "Sir, that's a significant amount of money for someone who isn't family." "Doctor, that little girl trusted me enough to call me for help. I'm not going to let her down." "When can you start the surgery?" "Right now, if you sign the financial responsibility forms." "Where do I sign?" As Nathan signed document after document, taking on financial responsibility for Amara's care, he caught sight of his reflection in a hallway mirror. His $3,000 suit was wrinkled, his usually perfect hair was disheveled, and he had blood on his shirt from when he helped lift Amara into the ambulance. He looked nothing like the polished CEO who had been sitting in a boardroom an hour ago. He looked like someone who cared. Someone who was exactly where he needed to be. Dr. Simone Baptiste burst through the emergency room doors 15 minutes later, still wearing surgical scrubs from her own hospital. She was stunningly beautiful, with warm brown skin, intelligent dark eyes, and an aura of competent strength that immediately commanded respect. "Zoe," she called out, and the little girl ran into her arms. "Aunt Simone, this is Mr. Nathan. He saved us. He came when I called and he's paying for Amara's operation and he promised she'd be okay." Simone looked up at Nathan over Zoe's head. "Mr. Cross, I presume. I don't know how to thank you for." "You don't need to thank me. How could I not help?" Simone studied his face, clearly trying to understand why a stranger would go to such lengths. "The surgery has already begun. Dr. Hassan is operating. They said 4 hours, so we wait. The cost is handled completely. No questions asked." Simone's eyes filled with tears. "I don't understand why you're doing this, but I can't. I could never afford." "Dr. Baptiste, sometimes people need help and other people are in a position to provide it. Today I was in a position to help your family. That's all there is to it." As they settled into the surgical waiting room, Zoe curled up between Nathan and Simone on the uncomfortable hospital chairs. The little girl fell asleep holding both their hands, her small body finally relaxing now that the adults were handling everything. "She called you completely by accident," Simone said quietly. "Best accident that ever happened to me," Nathan replied, and meant it completely. For the first time in his adult life, Nathan Cross was somewhere he truly wanted to be, doing something that mattered more than any business deal he had ever made. And as he looked down at the sleeping child who had trusted him completely, and across at the remarkable woman who was raising 2 girls on her own, he realized that Zoe's accidental phone call had changed far more than just their afternoon. It had changed everything. The surgical waiting room at City General Hospital had never felt more like home to Nathan Cross than it did at 8 p.m. that Tuesday evening. He had spent countless hours in corporate boardrooms, luxury hotels, and exclusive restaurants, but somehow this sterile space with uncomfortable chairs and flickering fluorescent lights felt exactly right. Zoe had woken up hungry, and Nathan had sent his driver to get food for all of them. Now the little girl sat cross-legged on the floor, carefully arranging French fries on a napkin while explaining to Nathan how Amara taught her to count by fives. "See, 5, 10, 15, 20, Zoe said, pointing to groups of fries. "Amara says math is everywhere, even in food. She's the smartest person I know. Way smarter than the kids in her grade." Dr. Simone Baptiste sat in the chair beside Nathan, her surgical scrubs replaced with jeans and a bright red sweater she had grabbed from her car. Even exhausted and worried, she was the most beautiful woman Nathan had ever seen. But more than her beauty, he was struck by her strength, her intelligence, and the obvious love she had for her nieces. "Amara skipped a grade," Simone explained. "She's academically gifted, but sometimes I worry the social aspects are hard for her. Being younger than her classmates and then having to help care for Zoe." "How long have you been raising them?" Nathan asked gently. 2 years. Since my sister and her husband died in the car accident." Simone's voice caught slightly. "I was just finishing my residency when it happened. Suddenly I went from being the fun aunt who visited on weekends to being responsible for a 14-year-old and a 5-year-old. Nathan watched as Zoe counted her fries again, this time by tens. The little girl's resilience amazed him. She had been through trauma that would break many adults, yet here she was, finding joy in simple things like counting food. "You've done an incredible job with them," Nathan said. Simone shook her head. "I feel like I'm failing them every day. I work double shifts to pay for everything, which means I'm not home enough. Amara has to walk Zoe home from school because I can't afford after-school care. If I had been there today—" "This wasn't your fault," Nathan said firmly. "Accidents happen. What matters is that Zoe knew to call for help, and that she's brave enough to trust strangers when she needs to. That speaks to how well you've raised her." Dr. Hassan emerged from the surgical wing just after 9 p.m., still in his scrubs. Nathan, Simone, and Zoe all stood up immediately. "The surgery went very well," Dr. Hassan said with a tired smile. "We were able to stop the bleeding and relieve the pressure on her brain. The next 48 hours will be critical, but I'm cautiously optimistic." Simone's knees buckled with relief, and Nathan steadied her with a gentle hand on her arm. "Can we see her?" Zoe asked. "She's still unconscious from the anesthesia, but yes, you can visit briefly. She's in the ICU, so only 2 visitors at a time." Nathan stepped back. "You 2 go first. I'll wait here." "No," Zoe said firmly, taking Nathan's hand. "You have to come too. Your family now." Nathan looked at Simone questioningly. She nodded. "Zoe's right. You've done more for us in one day than anyone has in a long time." The ICU was quiet and dimly lit. Amara lay in bed surrounded by monitors and machines, looking impossibly young and fragile. Her head was wrapped in bandages, but her breathing was steady. Zoe climbed carefully onto the chair beside the bed and took her sister's hand. "Hi, Amara. I know you can't hear me, but I wanted you to know that I found us some help. This is Mr. Nathan, and he's really nice, and he paid for your operation, and Aunt Simone likes him, I can tell." Nathan glanced at Simone, who blushed slightly. "The doctor says you're going to be fine," Zoe continued. "And when you wake up, I'm going to teach you how to count French fries by tens, because Mr. Nathan bought me lots of them." A nurse entered quietly. "Visiting hours are almost over, but given the circumstances, you're welcome to stay if you'd like. We have some chairs that fold out into beds." "I should stay with the girls," Simone said. "I'll stay too," Nathan said without hesitation. Simone looked surprised. "Mr. Cross, you don't need to. Please call me Nathan. And yes, I do need to. I made a promise to Zoe that her sister would be okay, and I intend to keep that promise. What would make a successful businessman abandon his entire life to stay at a hospital with a family he just met? Is it possible that some connections are deeper than blood, formed not by genetics but by moments of pure human need and kindness? Subscribe to find out how this story unfolds, and tell us in the comments what you would have done in Nathan's situation. The hospital staff brought additional chairs and blankets. As the night settled in, Nathan found himself in a situation he had never imagined. Sleeping in a hospital chair, fully dressed in his expensive suit, watching over two little girls and their aunt who had become the most important people in his world in the span of a few hours. Around midnight, Zoe woke up from a nightmare, crying softly. Nathan was awake immediately, gently rubbing her back. "I dreamed that Amara didn't wake up," she whispered. "That was just a dream, sweetheart. Look, you can see her breathing. The doctor said she's going to be fine." "Will you stay until she wakes up?" Zoe asked. "I'll stay as long as you need me to." Zoe settled back to sleep, and Nathan noticed that Simone was awake, watching him with an unreadable expression. "Why are you really doing this?" she whispered. Nathan thought about the question. He could explain about the phone call, about Zoe's trust, about feeling needed in a way that had nothing to do with money or power. But the real answer was simpler than that. "Because it's right," he whispered back. "Because you needed help and I could provide it. Because sometimes life gives you a chance to be exactly where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're supposed to do." Simone smiled, the first real smile he had seen from her all day. "That's a good answer." As Nathan settled back in his uncomfortable chair, listening to the steady beep of Amara's monitors and the quiet breathing of two sleeping children, he realized that he had never felt more content in his entire life. His phone had been buzzing with missed calls and urgent messages all evening, but none of that mattered now. Tomorrow the business world would still be there. His meetings could be rescheduled, his deals could wait. But this moment, this family, this chance to make a real difference in real lives, this was irreplaceable. And as he finally drifted off to sleep in that hospital chair, Nathan Cross knew that whatever happened next, he would never be the same man who had walked into that boardroom 12 hours ago. Zoe's accidental phone call had led him exactly where he needed to be. Nathan woke up at 6 a.m. to find Amara's eyes open, looking directly at him with curiosity and confusion. He sat up slowly, not wanting to startle her. "You're awake," he said softly. Amara tried to speak, but her throat was dry from the surgery. Nathan quickly called for the nurse and gently woke Simone and Zoe. "Amara," Zoe practically shouted, then caught herself and whispered, "You're okay, you're okay, you're okay." The next few hours were a blur of medical examinations, doctor consultations, and overwhelming relief. Amara's cognitive functions were perfect, her memory intact, and her recovery prospects excellent. Dr. Hassan was amazed at how well she was responding. "I need to understand what happened," Amara said once she could speak clearly. She looked directly at Nathan. "Zoe told me you paid for my surgery, but I don't understand who you are or why you would do that." Nathan pulled his chair closer to her bed. "Your sister called me by accident when she was scared and needed help. I happened to be someone who could provide that help. But the surgery must have cost. It doesn't matter what it cost. What matters is that you're okay." Amara studied his face carefully. At 16, she had the same intelligent eyes as her aunt, and Nathan could see her trying to piece together the situation. "People don't usually just pay for expensive surgery for strangers," she said finally. "You're not strangers anymore," Nathan replied simply. "You're friends." Dr. Torres stopped by during morning rounds with excellent news. "Amara can be discharged tomorrow if she continues recovering at this rate. She'll need follow-up appointments and some physical therapy, but she's going to make a complete recovery." "What about the bills?" Simone asked quietly. The follow-up care, the physical therapy? All covered, Nathan said immediately. Whatever she needs, for as long as she needs it. After the doctors left, Simone asked Nathan to walk with her to the hospital cafeteria. They needed to talk privately. I need to understand what you want from us, Simone said once they were alone. In my experience, people don't just give away hundreds of thousands of dollars without expecting something in return. Nathan appreciated her directness. I don't want anything from you. I want something for you. What does that mean? It means I want Zoe to never have to be scared about calling for help again. I want Amara to be able to focus on being a teenager instead of worrying about medical bills. I want you to be able to practice medicine without working double shifts just to make ends meet. Simone shook her head. That's not how the world works. People don't just. Some people do. I'm one of them. I built my company from nothing, Simone. I know what it's like to struggle, to worry about money, to feel like you're one emergency away from losing everything. I also know what it's like to have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Why wouldn't I use some of that to help a family that needs it? Because it's too much. It's not normal. I can't accept. Simone, Nathan said gently, yesterday your 7-year-old niece was kneeling beside her unconscious sister on a sidewalk, terrified and alone. Today that sister is recovering completely and you're worried about normal. Sometimes extraordinary circumstances require extraordinary responses. Simone was quiet for a long moment. I've been taking care of those girls alone for 2 years. I've gotten used to handling everything myself. You don't have to handle everything alone anymore. Not if you don't want to. What are you saying? Nathan realized he was about to cross a line, but he couldn't stop himself. I'm saying that in 18 hours, you and your girls have become the most important part of my life. I'm saying I want to help not because I feel obligated, but because I genuinely care about what happens to all of you. You don't even know us. I know that Zoe is brave enough to trust a stranger when her family is in danger. I know that Amara pushed her little sister out of the way of an oncoming car. I know that you're raising 2 remarkable children while working yourself to exhaustion to provide for them. I know that you're the strongest, most selfless person I've ever met. Simone's eyes filled with tears. Nathan. I know this is overwhelming. I know it doesn't make sense. But sometimes life gives you exactly what you need when you need it, even if you didn't know you needed it. They walked back to Amara's room in comfortable silence. When they arrived, they found Zoe curled up in bed next to her sister, both girls laughing at something on Amara's phone. Aunt Simone, Zoe called out, Amara says we should invite Mr. Nathan for dinner when she comes home tomorrow. Can we? Please. If Mr. Nathan would like to come, Simone said, smiling at Nathan. I would be honored, Nathan replied. That evening, as Amara slept peacefully and Zoe worked on homework in the hospital room, Nathan and Simone talked for hours. He learned about her medical school dreams, her plans to specialize in emergency medicine, her hopes for the girls' futures. She learned about his company, his foundation, his loneliness in a world where most people wanted something from him. Can I ask you something? Simone said around 10 p.m. When Zoe called you yesterday, what made you answer? Most busy executives would have ignored an unknown number. Nathan thought about it. Honestly, I almost did ignore it. But something made me pick up. Maybe it was meant to happen exactly the way it did. Do you believe in fate? I didn't used to. But I'm starting to. As Nathan prepared to leave for the night, Simone had convinced him to go home, shower, and get some real sleep. Zoe grabbed his hand. Mr. Nathan, are you going to keep being our friend after Amara gets better? If you want me to be. I do. We all do. Right, Aunt Simone? Simone met Nathan's eyes over Zoe's head. Yes, we all do. Walking out of the hospital that night, Nathan realized that everything in his life had changed in less than 48 hours. He had a family now, people who mattered to him more than any business deal or acquisition. He had a purpose beyond making money. And for the first time since he could remember, he was excited about tomorrow, not because of what he might achieve, but because of who he would spend it with. Amara came home to the small 2-bedroom apartment that Simone shared with the girls on Thursday afternoon. Nathan had offered to arrange for private transportation, but Simone insisted they could take the bus. She was still adjusting to accepting help, even from someone who had become genuinely important to all of them. The apartment was tiny but immaculate, filled with evidence of a loving family making the most of limited resources. Hand-me-down furniture was arranged carefully to maximize space. School artwork covered the refrigerator. Books were stacked everywhere because there wasn't enough shelf space. It's not much, Simone said, suddenly seeing her home through Nathan's eyes. It's perfect, Nathan replied and meant it. It feels like a real home. Zoe had decorated the living room with balloons and a handmade, "Welcome Home Amara" banner. She had also set the small dining table for 4 people, using their best plates and cloth napkins that were clearly saved for special occasions. I helped Aunt Simone make spaghetti with meat sauce, Zoe announced proudly. It's Amara's favorite. Nathan had brought flowers for Simone and books for both girls. For Zoe, a collection of picture books about counting and mathematics. For Amara, several young adult novels and a book about college scholarships. You didn't need to bring anything, Simone protested. I wanted to, Nathan said simply. During dinner, Nathan learned more about the family's daily life. Amara was an honor student who tutored younger kids to earn extra money. Zoe was reading above grade level and wanted to be a doctor like her aunt. Simone worked 12-hour shifts at the hospital and took additional shifts whenever possible to pay for rent, groceries, and the girls' school expenses. Money's always tight, Simone admitted, but we manage. The girls are healthy, they're doing well in school, and we have each other. That's what matters. Nathan admired her strength and independence, but he could also see the exhaustion in her eyes, the way she calculated the cost of everything, the stress of carrying so much responsibility alone. After dinner, while Amara rested and Zoe worked on homework, Nathan and Simone sat on the small balcony outside the kitchen window. Can I ask you about the girls' parents? Nathan said gently. Simone's expression grew sad. My sister Lisa was my best friend. She married Tommy right out of college and they were perfect together. Lisa was a teacher, Tommy was a mechanic. They weren't wealthy but they were happy. When the girls were born, they were the most devoted parents you've ever seen. What happened? Drunk driver ran a red light on a Saturday afternoon. They were coming home from grocery shopping. Both killed instantly. Simone wiped away tears. I was in my last year of residency, barely keeping my own life together, and suddenly I had 2 grieving children who needed everything. That must have been incredibly difficult. The hardest thing I've ever done. But also the most important. Those girls are my world now. I would do anything for them. I can see that. They're lucky to have you. Sometimes I wonder if I'm enough. Amara needs college planning and I don't know how we'll afford it. Zoe needs activities and experiences that cost money we don't have. I feel like I'm failing them. Nathan turned to face her fully. Simone, you're raising 2 remarkable, intelligent, loving children on your own while working as a doctor and keeping everyone fed, housed, and healthy. You're not failing anyone. That weekend, Nathan started spending more time with the family. He helped Zoe with math homework on Saturday morning, discovering that she had an exceptional gift for numbers. He took Amara to physical therapy appointments, learning about her dreams of studying engineering in college. Why engineering? He asked as they waited for her session to begin. I want to design safer cars, Amara said matter-of-factly. So what happened to me and to my parents doesn't happen to other families. Nathan was amazed by her maturity and purpose. At 16, she had already chosen a career path based on making the world safer for others. On Sunday, Nathan suggested they all go to the Science Museum. Simone initially protested the expense, but Nathan insisted it was his treat. The girls will love it, he said. And I've never been to a science museum with kids before. I'm curious to see it through their eyes. At the museum, Nathan watched Zoe explain planetary motion to him using hand gestures and scientific terms that impressed the actual museum staff. He saw Amara light up at the engineering exhibits, asking detailed questions about bridge construction and vehicle safety design. Your girls are brilliant, he told Simone as they watched the sisters collaborate on a robotics demonstration. I know. That's why I worry so much about their futures. They have so much potential, but potential requires opportunities and opportunities cost money. What if money wasn't an issue? Nathan asked carefully. What do you mean? I mean, what would you want for them if you could afford anything? Simone thought about it. Amara would go to MIT or Stanford, study engineering, maybe get her master's degree too. Zoe would have math tutoring, science camps, maybe early admission to advanced programs. I would finish my emergency medicine fellowship and maybe even do additional training in pediatric trauma care. She paused. But there's no point in dreaming about things that aren't realistic. What if they were realistic? Nathan. Simone started, but he held up his hand. Just think about it. Don't answer now. Just think about what would be best for your girls and for you. That evening, as Nathan prepared to leave, Zoe hugged him tightly. Thank you for the best day ever, Mr. Nathan. Will you come back tomorrow? If your aunt says it's okay. It's okay, Amara said from the couch, where she was reading one of the books Nathan had brought her. You're part of our family now. Nathan looked at Simone, who nodded with a warm smile. You're welcome here anytime, Nathan. I think the girls have officially adopted you. Driving home to his empty penthouse apartment that night, Nathan realized how hollow his previous life had been. He had spent years accumulating wealth and success, but he had never felt as rich as he did when Zoe explained fractions to him using pizza slices, or when Amara asked his advice about her college essays, or when Simone looked at him like he was someone worth knowing. He had found his family in the most unexpected way possible. Now he just needed to figure out how to convince them to let him help create the future they all deserved. 3 weeks after the accident, Nathan had become a regular fixture in the Baptiste family's daily routine. He picked up Zoe from school on Tuesdays and Thursdays when Simone worked late shifts. He helped Amara with college application essays on weekends. He brought groceries without being asked and somehow always included exactly the items they needed but couldn't afford. You don't have to keep doing this, Simone told him one evening as she found him helping Zoe with a science project about solar systems. I want to, Nathan replied, steadying a papier-mâché planet while Zoe painted it. Besides, I'm learning more about astronomy than I ever knew before. Jupiter has 79 moons, Zoe announced. But some of them are really tiny. The biggest one is called Ganymede and it's bigger than Mercury. See, Nathan said to Simone. Educational. What Nathan didn't tell Simone was that he had quietly started paying the family's rent directly to their landlord. Or that he had arranged for the girls to receive full scholarships to a better school district. Or that he had set up college funds for both girls that would cover any university they chose to attend. He was careful to do these things discreetly, understanding that Simone's pride would make her refuse direct handouts. But he couldn't stand watching her work herself to exhaustion just to keep them housed and fed. Nathan, Simone said one Saturday afternoon, we need to talk. They were alone in the apartment while the girls were at the library. Nathan's heart sank, thinking she was about to ask him to back off. I got a call from the landlord yesterday. He said our rent had been paid for the next year. He also mentioned that he received a very generous sum to upgrade the apartment, fix the heating system, and replace the old appliances. Nathan tried to look innocent. That's great news. Nathan crossed, did you pay my rent? There was no point in lying. Yes. And the school scholarships that mysteriously appeared for both girls? Yes. And the college funds that the bank called to tell me about? Yes. Simone stared at him for a long moment. Nathan prepared himself for her anger, for her to tell him he had overstepped, that she didn't want his charity. Instead she started crying. Hey, Nathan said softly, reaching for her hands. I'm sorry. I know you want to handle things yourself, but I couldn't stand watching you work so hard when I could help. I'm not crying because I'm angry, Simone said through her tears. I'm crying because for the first time in 2 years, I don't have to lie awake at night worrying about how I'm going to pay for everything. I'm crying because my girls are going to have opportunities one never dreamed I could give them. They deserve those opportunities. And I'm crying because I think I'm falling in love with you, and that terrifies me. Nathan felt his heart skip a beat. Terrifies you, why? Because I've been so focused on taking care of Amara and Zoe that I forgot I might want someone to take care of me sometimes too. Because you're wonderful and generous and kind, and you're completely out of my league. Because I'm afraid this is all too good to be true. Nathan moved closer to her on the couch. Simone, you are the strongest, most incredible woman I've ever met. You're raising 2 amazing kids while saving lives at the hospital. You're brilliant and beautiful and caring, and if anyone is out of anyone's league here, it's me who's out of yours. That's not true. It absolutely is. I've spent my entire adult life focused on making money and building a business. I never had a family, never made room for real relationships. Never felt like my life had any meaning beyond the next deal or acquisition. Then Zoe called me by accident and suddenly I found my purpose. I found the family I never knew I wanted. Nathan. I'm falling in love with you too, Simone. With all of you. I love Zoe's endless questions and her hugs that could power a small city. I love Amara's determination to make the world safer for other families. I love watching you with your patience, seeing how much you care, how hard you fight for people. This is all happening so fast. Sometimes the best things do. Sometimes life gives you exactly what you need when you're brave enough to accept it. Simone leaned forward and kissed him softly. It was their first kiss, sweet and tentative and full of promise. The girls are going to be so happy, she whispered against his lips. Are you happy? Happier than I've been since before my sister died. Happier than I thought I had any right to be. When Amara and Zoe returned from the library, they found Nathan and Simone sitting closer together on the couch, holding hands. Finally, Amara said, rolling her eyes. You two have been looking at each other like lovesick teenagers for weeks. Are you going to be our new daddy? Zoe asked with typical 7-year-old directness. Nathan looked at Simone, then at both girls. Would you like that? Yes, Zoe said immediately. Yes, Amara agreed. But only if you promise to keep helping me with college essays. Mine are terrible. They're not terrible, Nathan laughed. And yes, I promise. That evening, Nathan made dinner for the family, spaghetti with meat sauce, which had become his specialty, and they talked about the future. About Amara's college plans, about Zoe's growing interest in space science, about Simone's dream of specializing in pediatric emergency medicine. What about your dreams? Simone asked Nathan as they cleaned up together while the girls watched a movie. This is my dream, Nathan said simply. This family, this life, helping the people I love achieve their dreams. I never knew what I was working toward before, but now I do. After the girls went to bed, Nathan and Simone sat on the balcony talking about practical things. Where they would live. Nathan's penthouse was too sterile for a family, but he could buy a house in a good school district. How to blend their lives without overwhelming the girls with too much change too quickly. How to make sure Amara and Zoe knew they were loved not because of Nathan's money, but because of who they were. I want to do this right, Nathan said. I want to be the father figure they deserve, the partner you deserve. I don't want to just swoop in and change everything. You already are doing it right, Simone assured him. You've been doing it right since the moment you answered Zoe's call. As Nathan drove home that night, he called his assistant to clear his schedule for the next day. He had house shopping to do and a ring to buy, and a future to plan with the family that had accidentally called him and changed his life forever. For the first time in his adult life, Nathan Cross was exactly where he belonged. Nathan's proposal to establish a free community clinic came during a family dinner at his newly purchased house in the suburbs. It was a beautiful colonial with 5 bedrooms, a big backyard, and enough space for everyone to have their own areas while still being together as a family. The girls had adjusted to the move with remarkable ease. Zoe loved having her own room, painted bright purple at her request, and Amara appreciated the quiet study space where she could work on college applications without distractions. Simone had initially felt overwhelmed by the luxury, but Nathan had made sure the house felt like a home, not a showcase. I've been thinking about something, Nathan said as they finished dessert, Zoe's favorite chocolate cake from the bakery near their old apartment. Simone, you've always talked about wanting to serve underprivileged communities. What if we could create a clinic that provided free emergency and primary care to families who can't afford it? Simone's eyes lit up immediately. That would be incredible, but the startup costs would be completely covered by my foundation. I'm talking about a fully staffed, state-of-the-art facility. You would be the medical director, hire your own staff, design the programs you think would make the biggest difference. Nathan, that's a multi-million-dollar project. Yes, it is. And it would help thousands of families like we were helped. Families where a 7-year-old might need to call for help because her sister is hurt and they can't afford an ambulance. Amara looked up from her homework. Would you name it after Mama and Daddy? Nathan and Simone exchanged glances. Would you like that? Simone asked. I think they would like knowing their names were on a place that helped other families. The Lisa and Thomas Baptiste Community Health Center, Nathan said. I think that sounds perfect. Over the next few months, Nathan and Simone worked together on the clinic project while growing closer as a couple and as a family. Nathan discovered that he loved the challenge of using his business skills for social good rather than profit. Simone found that having a true partner made her more effective in all areas of her life. They located the perfect building in the neighborhood where the girls used to live, close to families who would need the services most. Nathan handled the financial and legal aspects while Simone designed the medical programs and began recruiting staff. I want pediatric care, emergency medicine, preventive care, and mental health services, Simone explained during one of their planning sessions. And I want it all to be completely free. No one gets turned away, no one gets a bill. Done? Nathan said simply. Just like that. Just like that. This is what the money is for, Simone. This is why I worked so hard to build my company. So that when the right opportunity came along, I could do something that actually mattered. The clinic construction took 6 months. During that time, Nathan and Simone's relationship deepened into something neither of them had experienced before. They were partners in every sense, sharing responsibilities, dreams, and daily life with an ease that surprised them both. Nathan had never imagined how much he would love the routine of family life. Helping Zoe with homework, attending Amara's school science fair, cooking dinner while Simone told stories about her day at the hospital. He had spent years thinking that domestic life would bore him, but instead he found it endlessly fulfilling. "You're different now," his business partner observed during one of their rare lunch meetings. "Happier. More focused somehow." "I know what I'm working for now," Nathan replied. "It makes all the difference." The Lisa and Thomas Baptiste Community Health Center opened on a sunny Tuesday morning in March. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was attended by the mayor, several city council members, and dozens of families from the community who would benefit from the free services. Zoe and Amara cut the ribbon together, wearing matching bright blue dresses that Nathan had bought for the occasion. Simone gave a speech about her vision for community healthcare, her voice strong and confident as she talked about serving families who had nowhere else to turn. "This clinic exists because sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places," Simone said, looking directly at Nathan in the crowd. "It exists because someone answered a little girl's call for help and changed all our lives forever." After the ceremony, Nathan found a quiet moment with each of the girls. "Are you proud of your aunt?" he asked Amara as they watched Simone give tours to local families. "I'm proud of all of us," Amara replied. "Mama and Daddy would be amazed at how everything turned out." "What about you, sweetheart?" Nathan asked Zoe, who was carefully arranging flowers in the reception area. "I'm proud that my accidental phone call helped so many people," Zoe said seriously. "Maybe I was supposed to call you that day. Maybe it wasn't really an accident." Nathan knelt down to Zoe's level. "What do you think?" "I think some accidents are actually meant to happen. I think sometimes when you really need help, the right person finds you even if you don't know how to find them." That evening, as they celebrated at home with takeout from their favorite restaurant, Nathan realized that his life had become everything he never knew he wanted. He had a career that fulfilled him, a family that loved him, and a sense of purpose that went far beyond making money. "The clinic is going to help so many families," Simone said as they cleaned up together while the girls did homework upstairs. "It's going to help us too," Nathan replied. "Working on this together, building something meaningful, it's made me understand what I want my legacy to be." "What's that?" "A family who loves each other. A community that's a little bit safer, a little bit healthier, a little bit more hopeful because we were here." Simone kissed him softly. "I love you, Nathan Cross. I love you too. All of you. More than I ever thought it was possible to love anyone." As they turned off the lights and headed upstairs to their family, Nathan reflected on how dramatically his life had changed since that Tuesday afternoon when his phone rang with a wrong number. He had gained everything that truly mattered: love, purpose, and the chance to make a real difference in the world. Sometimes the most important calls are the ones you never expected to receive. The spring after the clinic opened, Nathan and Simone fell into a rhythm that felt as natural as breathing. Nathan would drop Zoe off at school in the morning before heading to his office, while Simone did early rounds at City General before moving to the community clinic. Amara, now 17 and more independent, managed her own schedule but always joined them for family dinners. The clinic was exceeding all expectations. They were seeing over 100 patients per week, providing everything from basic checkups to emergency care. Simone had assembled an incredible team of doctors and nurses who shared her passion for community service. "Mrs. Rodriguez brought her whole family in today," Simone told Nathan one evening as they walked through the neighborhood near the clinic. "3 kids who haven't had checkups in 2 years because they couldn't afford them. All healthy, just needed vaccinations and basic care." "That's exactly what it's for," Nathan said, squeezing her hand. They had started taking evening walks together several nights a week, using the time to talk about their days, their hopes for the clinic, and their growing dreams for the future. Tonight felt different though. Nathan seemed nervous, checking his watch frequently and steering their walk toward the small park near their old apartment building. "Nathan, are you okay? You've been acting strange all day." "I'm fine. Just, can we sit for a minute?" They settled on a bench overlooking the playground where Zoe liked to play when they visited the neighborhood. The park was empty except for them, peaceful in the soft evening light. "Simone," Nathan began then stopped. "This is harder than I expected it to be." "What is?" Nathan stood up and turned to face her. "We've been together for almost a year now. A year since Zoe accidentally called me and changed everything. A year since I found out what it means to have a real family, a real purpose." "Nathan. Let me finish before I lose my nerve." Nathan reached into his jacket pocket. "I used to think success meant having the biggest office, the most expensive car, the highest stock prices. Now I know that success means coming home to people who love you. It means building something that helps others. It means waking up every morning excited about the day ahead because you get to spend it with your favorite people. He dropped to one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. Simone Baptiste, you are the strongest, most compassionate, most beautiful woman I have ever met. You've made me a better man. You've shown me what it means to live for something bigger than myself. Will you marry me? Simone stared at the ring, tears streaming down her face. It was perfect, not too flashy but clearly expensive, with a classic setting that suited her practical nature. Yes, she whispered, then louder, yes, of course, yes. Nathan slipped the ring onto her finger with trembling hands, then stood to kiss her as the sun set behind them. The girls? Simone said suddenly. Did you ask them first? Nathan grinned. Actually, it was Zoe's idea. She told me last week that I needed to make it official, so you could really be a family. Amara helped me pick out the ring. They knew. They've been planning this longer than I have. Zoe has already designed wedding decorations, and Amara has opinions about the guest list. They walked home hand in hand, both giddy with excitement and love. When they arrived, they found Zoe and Amara waiting in the living room, trying to look casual while obviously bursting with anticipation. Well, Amara said impatiently. Simone held up her left hand and both girls erupted in cheers. Finally, Zoe said, launching herself at both of them. Now we can really be a forever family. We were already a forever family, Nathan said, scooping Zoe up. Now we just have a piece of paper to prove it. Don't you wish all love stories could be this pure and beautiful? The kind where kindness is rewarded and families are built on genuine care rather than obligation. Subscribe to see how this perfect love story concludes, and tell us in the comments about the most beautiful act of kindness you've ever witnessed. Over the next few months, wedding planning became a family affair. They decided on a small ceremony in the clinic's garden courtyard, surrounded by the community they served and the staff who had become like family. Simone insisted on keeping her maiden name professionally but taking Nathan's name personally. Dr. Simone Baptiste Cross, she practiced saying, liking the sound of it. Nathan hired a wedding planner, but the family made most of the decisions together. Zoe chose bright sunflower centerpieces because they're happy flowers. Amara selected a string quartet because classical music is elegant but not boring. Simone picked a simple but beautiful wedding dress that she could move comfortably in, knowing she would probably be called to help someone during the reception. What if there's a medical emergency during our wedding? She asked Nathan one evening. Then we'll handle it together, Nathan replied. That's what we do. The engagement party was held at the clinic, with patients' families, staff members, and Nathan's business associates all mingling together. It was exactly the kind of celebration they wanted, bringing together all the different parts of their lives. I never thought I'd see Nathan Cross serving cake to 7-year-olds and loving every minute of it, his business partner told Simone. He's a different person than he was before, Simone agreed. We all are. 3 weeks before the wedding, Amara received her early acceptance letter from MIT. The entire family celebrated at their favorite restaurant, with Zoe insisting on ordering dessert for the whole table. I'm going to study biomedical engineering, Amara announced. I want to design medical devices that make emergency care more accessible in underserved communities. Following in your aunt's footsteps, Nathan said proudly. Following in all of our footsteps. This family taught me that the best way to honor the people you've lost is to help other people live. Nathan looked around the table at his family, his heart full to overflowing. In less than a year, he had gone from a lonely workaholic to a man surrounded by love, purpose, and joy. He had a brilliant fiancée who challenged him to be his best self, 2 incredible daughters who trusted him completely, and work that actually mattered. What are you thinking about? Simone asked, noticing his thoughtful expression. I'm thinking about how lucky I am that a 7-year-old girl dialed the wrong number on the worst day of her life. The best mistake I ever made, Zoe said seriously, raising her glass of chocolate milk in a toast. To happy accidents, Amara added, raising her soda. To family, Simone said, raising her water glass. To love, Nathan concluded, and they all clinked glasses together, sealing their bond not just as people who lived together, but as people who had chosen each other completely. The evening of Nathan's official proposal to the girls happened on a warm Saturday in May, exactly 13 months after Zoe's accidental phone call. Nathan had been planning this conversation for weeks, knowing that while Simone had already said yes to marrying him, he needed the formal approval of his future daughters. He had set up a special family meeting in the living room after dinner, with Zoe's favorite cookies and Amara's preferred tea. The girls knew something important was happening because Nathan seemed nervous in a way they had never seen before. Okay, Amara said, settling cross-legged on the floor. You're freaking us out with all the formal setup. What's going on? Are you and Aunt Simone getting divorced already? Zoe asked with 7-year-old logic. Because you just got engaged. No, sweetheart, Nathan laughed. The opposite, actually. He pulled out 2 small gift boxes and handed one to each girl. Before I marry your aunt, I want to ask both of you something very important. Zoe opened her box first, gasping at the delicate gold necklace with a small star pendant. It's so pretty. Amara's box contained a similar necklace with a moon pendant. Nathan, these are beautiful, but... The star is for Zoe because she's always reaching for the stars with her questions and dreams. The moon is for Amara because she's steady and reliable, watching over everyone like the moon watches over the night sky. Both girls fastened their necklaces immediately. Now, Nathan said, taking a deep breath. I need to ask you both something. Simone and I are getting married and I love her more than I ever thought possible. But I also love both of you and I want to make sure you're comfortable with what that means. What does it mean? Zoe asked. It means I want to be your dad. Not just the guy who married your aunt, but your actual dad. The person you come to when you need help with homework, or when someone at school is mean to you, or when you want to learn to drive, or when you need advice about college or careers or anything at all. Amara's eyes filled with tears. You already are our dad, Nathan. You have been since the day you stayed at the hospital with us. But I want to make it official. I want to adopt both of you if you'll let me. That way, legally and officially, you'll be my daughters forever. What about Mama and Daddy? Zoe asked quietly. Will they still be our parents too? Nathan knelt down to her level. They will always be your Mama and Daddy. Always. Nothing could ever change that. I would be your second dad, the one who gets to take care of you now and help you grow up. But your first parents will always be the most important people in your heart. Like having 2 sets of parents, Amara said thoughtfully. Exactly like that. Zoe threw her arms around Nathan's neck. I want you to be my dad. I want it so much. Me too, Amara said, joining the hug. But I have one condition. What's that? You have to promise to keep helping me with college essays even after I graduate from high school. Nathan laughed, holding both girls close. I promise to help you with anything you need, whenever you need it, for the rest of your lives. Even when we're grown up and married and have kids of our own, Zoe asked. Especially then. I plan to be the best grandfather those future kids could ask for. Simone appeared in the doorway, having listened to the entire conversation from the kitchen. She was crying happy tears as she watched her fiancé officially become a father to her girls. Group hug, she called out, joining them on the living room floor. Aunt Simone, Zoe said, Nathan's going to be our real dad now. We're going to be a real family with a mom and dad and everything. We were already a real family, Simone said gently. But now it's official. That evening, after the girls went to bed, Nathan and Simone sat on their back porch, planning their future. The adoption paperwork will take a few months, Nathan said. But my lawyer says it should be straightforward since there are no other living relatives who might contest it. Are you sure you're ready for this? Being a father is a huge responsibility. Nathan took her hands. Simone, I've been acting as their father for over a year. Making it legal doesn't change how I feel about them or how committed I am to their well-being. If anything, it makes me more determined to be the dad they deserve. They worship you, you know. Especially Zoe. She tells everyone at school about her dad Nathan and how he saved her family. She saved my family too. That little girl's phone call gave me everything I never knew I was missing. 2 weeks later, Nathan's lawyer filed the adoption papers. The court date was scheduled for late June, just 2 weeks before the wedding. Perfect timing, Amara observed. We'll officially become the Cross family right before you and Aunt Simone get married. Actually, Nathan said, I was thinking we might all become the Baptiste Cross family. Keep both names to honor everyone who made this family possible. The Lisa and Thomas and Simone and Nathan Baptiste Cross family, Zoe said solemnly. That's a lot of names. That's a lot of love, Nathan corrected. The night before the court hearing, Nathan couldn't sleep. He found Zoe in the kitchen getting a glass of water. Can't sleep either, she asked. Nervous about tomorrow, Nathan admitted. Me too. But good nervous. Like Christmas morning nervous. They sat at the kitchen table together, sharing a late-night snack of cookies and milk. Nathan, Zoe said thoughtfully, do you think Mama and Daddy would like you? Nathan considered the question seriously. I hope so. I hope they would be happy that their girls are loved and safe and have someone who will always take care of them. I think they would like you a lot. I think they would say thank you for answering my phone call and for making Aunt Simone happy and for helping us not be sad all the time anymore. I think they would be proud of how brave and smart and kind their daughters turned out to be. We're going to be your daughters tomorrow. You've been my daughters since the day I met you, sweetheart. Tomorrow just makes it official. Zoe hugged him tightly. I love you, Dad. It was the first time either girl had called him Dad, and Nathan felt his heart expand with a joy so pure and complete that he knew nothing in his life would ever matter as much as this moment, this child, this family they had all chosen together. I love you too, daughter. More than all the stars in the sky. The adoption hearing took place on a beautiful Thursday morning in late June. Judge Patricia Williams, a kind woman in her 50s, smiled warmly as the Baptiste Cross family entered her courtroom. Nathan wore his best suit, but he had let Zoe pick out his tie. She had chosen one with tiny stars on it, saying it matched her necklace. Simone wore a bright emerald dress that brought out her eyes. Amara had chosen a professional navy blue outfit that made her look mature and confident. Zoe wore her favorite purple dress with white flowers, the one she said made her feel like a princess. This is an unusual case, Judge Williams began, in that we have a family that has clearly been functioning as a loving unit for over a year, and today we're simply making that legal reality official. She questioned Nathan about his commitment to the girls, his financial ability to provide for them, and his understanding of the lifelong responsibilities of parenthood. His answers were heartfelt and detailed, showing that he had thought deeply about every aspect of being a father. And girls, Judge Williams said, turning to Amara and Zoe, do you want Nathan Cross to become your legal father? Yes, Your Honor, Amara said formally. He's been taking care of us and loving us since the day we met him. He's the best dad we could ask for. He saved our whole family, Zoe added. And he keeps all his promises. He promised I could pick out his tie today and see. She pointed proudly to Nathan's star-covered tie. Judge Williams chuckled. I see. And Dr. Baptiste, you support this adoption. Completely, Your Honor. Nathan has been an incredible father figure to both girls. They couldn't be in better hands. Then it's my pleasure to grant this adoption petition. Nathan Cross, you are now the legal father of Amara Baptiste Cross and Zoe Baptiste Cross. Congratulations to the entire Baptiste Cross family. The courtroom erupted in quiet celebration. Nathan's business partner was there as a witness, along with several staff members from the clinic who had become like family. Everyone wiped away happy tears as Nathan officially became a father. Can we call him Dad now? Zoe asked Judge Williams. You can call him whatever feels right to you, the judge replied. He's your father now, officially and forever. Dad, Zoe said, testing out the word with obvious delight. Dad, Dad, Dad. It sounds perfect, Nathan said, scooping her up for a hug. 2 weeks later, on a perfect Saturday afternoon in July, Nathan Cross and Dr. Simone Baptiste were married in the courtyard garden of the Lisa and Thomas Baptiste Community Health Center. The ceremony was small but perfect, with about 50 guests including clinic staff, neighbors from their old apartment building, some of Nathan's business associates, and patients who had become friends. Amara and Zoe were bridesmaids, wearing matching lavender dresses with flower crowns that Zoe had insisted upon. Nathan wore a gray suit with a lavender tie that matched his daughter's dresses. Simone looked radiant in a simple but elegant white dress that allowed her to move freely. The ceremony was officiated by Pastor Johnson from the community church near the clinic, a man who had become a friend to the family over the months. He spoke about love that comes from unexpected places, about families formed by choice rather than just by blood, and about the power of kindness to transform lives. Nathan and Simone, Pastor Johnson said, your love story began with a little girl's desperate call for help. It grew through generosity, kindness, and genuine care for others. Today, as you promise to love each other for the rest of your lives, you're not just joining two people together. You're celebrating a family that has already proven that love knows no boundaries. When it came time for vows, Nathan spoke first. Simone, a year and a half ago I thought I knew what success looked like. I thought happiness came from achievements and acquisitions. Then Zoe accidentally called me and you taught me what real success actually means. Real success is coming home to people who love you for who you are, not what you own. Real success is building something that helps others, not just yourself. Real success is the sound of children laughing in your house and the feeling of being needed by people who matter. He paused, looking at Amara and Zoe who were crying happy tears. I promise to love you completely, to support your dreams, to be the partner you deserve and the father our girls need. I promise to keep building the life we've started together, full of love and service and joy. Simone's vows were equally heartfelt. Nathan, when Lisa and Tommy died, I thought my job was to survive. To keep the girls safe and fed and educated. I never imagined I could be happy again, let alone find someone who would love not just me, but my entire complicated situation. You didn't just accept my girls, you embraced them. You didn't just help us financially, you became part of our hearts. She looked at Zoe and Amara, including them in her vows. I promise to love you and support you and build this beautiful life we've created together. I promise to keep working beside you to help our community. I promise to be the wife and mother our family deserves. After they kissed and were pronounced husband and wife, Zoe announced loudly, "Now we're really a forever family." The reception was held in the clinic's main room, which had been decorated with sunflowers and twinkling lights. Patients and their families mingled with business executives and medical professionals, creating exactly the kind of community celebration Nathan and Simone had wanted. During the reception, several people gave speeches. Amara spoke about how Nathan had taught her that fathers aren't just the people who help create you, but the people who choose to love and support you every single day. Zoe's speech was shorter but equally moving. "My dad Nathan answered my phone call when I was scared, and he's been answering all our calls ever since." Dr. Torres from City General Hospital spoke about how the community clinic had already saved dozens of lives and provided care to over 1,000 patients. Nathan and Simone didn't just fall in love with each other, she said. They fell in love with the idea of making their community better, and that love has rippled out to touch hundreds of families. But the most touching moment came when Mrs. Rodriguez, one of their first clinic patients, stood up to speak. "My family was here when this clinic opened," she said in accented English. "My children were sick and we had no money for doctors. Dr. Simone and Mr. Nathan, they didn't just help my babies get better. They gave us hope. They showed us that there are still good people in the world who help because it's right, not because of what they can get." She gestured to her 3 children, all healthy and smiling in the crowd. "Today, my oldest daughter Maria starts pre-med classes at the community college. She wants to be a doctor like Dr. Simone. She wants to help families like ours. This is what love does. It grows and spreads and makes more love." Nathan and Simone danced their first dance to "At Last" by Etta James, surrounded by their daughters and their community. As they swayed together, Nathan whispered in Simone's ear, "Did you ever imagine it would be like this?" "Never," Simone whispered back. "It's better than anything I could have dreamed. Even with all the chaos and the noise and the constant interruptions. Especially because of all that. This is what a real life looks like, Nathan. Messy and beautiful and full of people who need you." As the evening wound down, Nathan found himself standing in the clinic's garden with his new family, looking up at the stars. Zoe was explaining constellations to anyone who would listen, while Amara helped pack up leftover cake to send home with guests. "Dad," Zoe said, tugging on Nathan's jacket, "do you think Mama and Daddy can see us from heaven?" "I think they can," Nathan replied. "And I think they're very proud of how you and Amara have grown up, and very happy that you have people who love you." "I think they sent you to us," Zoe said matter-of-factly. "I think they made sure I had your phone number in my head when I needed help." Nathan knelt down to her level. "You think so? I know so. Because you're exactly the kind of dad they would have picked for us. Kind and smart and funny and good at taking care of people." Later that night, after the guests had gone home and the girls were asleep in their rooms, Nathan and Simone sat on their back porch as a married couple for the first time. "So," Simone said, curled up beside him on the porch swing, "how does it feel to be officially part of the Baptiste Cross family?" "Like coming home," Nathan replied. "Like everything I did before was just preparing me for this." "Any regrets? About leaving your old life behind, about taking on so much responsibility so quickly?" Nathan laughed softly. "Simone, 2 years ago I was a workaholic billionaire with no real relationships and no purpose beyond making money. Now I'm married to the most incredible woman in the world, I'm the father of 2 amazing girls, and I run a clinic that's actually saving lives. If that's not winning the lottery, I don't know what is. Even when Zoe wakes you up at 6 a.m. to help with her science projects. Especially then. Even when Amara needs you to drive her to college visits at schools that are 8 hours away. I'm looking forward to it. Even when the clinic has emergencies at all hours and our dinner plans get canceled because someone needs us. Simone, I spent 40 years eating dinner alone in expensive restaurants. Now I get to eat takeout pizza while helping our daughter with algebra homework and listening to our other daughter explain why Pluto should still be considered a planet. That's not a sacrifice. That's a gift." 3 months later, the family celebrated another milestone when Nathan officially changed his own name to Nathan Baptiste Cross. If we're going to be the Baptiste Cross family, he explained, then I should be a Baptiste Cross too. The name change paperwork was filed on a Tuesday afternoon, almost exactly 2 years after Zoe's accidental phone call. As they walked out of the courthouse, Nathan reflected on how completely his life had transformed. 2 years ago today, he told his family as they stopped for ice cream to celebrate, I was sitting in a boring board meeting thinking about stock prices and merger agreements. Then my phone rang. Best wrong number ever, Amara said, raising her ice cream cone in a toast. Not a wrong number, Zoe corrected seriously. A right number that just took a different path to get where it needed to go. 5 years later, Nathan Baptiste Cross stood in MIT's graduation ceremony, watching his daughter Amara walk across the stage to receive her degree in biomedical engineering. Beside him, Dr. Simone Baptiste Cross held Zoe's hand as their 12-year-old daughter whispered excitedly about starting her own engineering program in high school. The Lisa and Thomas Baptiste Community Health Center had expanded into 3 locations, serving over 10,000 patients annually. Simone had completed her fellowship in pediatric emergency medicine and had been featured in medical journals for her innovative community healthcare programs. Nathan had transitioned most of his business responsibilities to focus on the foundation work, finding more satisfaction in funding social programs than he had ever found in corporate profits. Dad, Zoe said as they watched Amara celebrate with her classmates, I've decided what I want to be when I grow up. What's that, sweetheart? I want to be like you and Mom. I want to help people who need help like you helped us. Nathan felt his heart swell with pride and love. You can be anything you want to be, Zoe. We'll help you get there. I know you will. That's what dads are for. As they drove home from the graduation ceremony, Nathan thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment. A scared little girl's desperate phone call had connected 2 strangers who needed each other more than they knew. That connection had grown into a love story, a family, and a legacy of service that would continue for generations. Sometimes the most important moments in life come disguised as accidents, wrong numbers, or unexpected interruptions. Sometimes the family you choose becomes more important than the family you're born into. Sometimes answering one phone call can change not just your life, but the lives of countless others. Nathan Baptiste Cross had learned that real wealth isn't measured in dollars or stock portfolios. Real wealth is measured in the number of people who love you, the number of lives you've touched, and the legacy of kindness you leave behind. And it all started with a 7-year-old girl who accidentally dialed the right number at exactly the right time.